Good evening, people. It's Jacob on the one up top. Hope you're having a blessed Tuesday. Just before I jump on another show with a friend of mine, I thought I'd do a quick video to speak briefly again about what happened last weekend and, in simple terms, where do Tottenham go from here, especially with the important game that we've got coming up tomorrow. But before you do anything, make sure that you're prepared to comment. You like the page, because it helps build the channel. You share, subscribe, do all of that. Thankful to all those that are watching. I remember going for days where I do reviews. Now I'm getting into the hundreds. So, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey. I'm trying to get as many views as possible. So now I'm regularly into the hundreds, the thousands. I want to see some Ks at the end of my views. So if you look can help me out and do as much viewing as you can, put a notification bell on so anytime I post something, please get on with it. But first of all, everybody's seen the result at Wolves. Not much to really say on that. If you want to know what my full extended opinion on that game, sorry, video that will be at the end of this discussion. Um, in brief terms, the lineup was tinkered too much. I don't understand why we rested players for the Sheffield United game to just put in that type of performance. I feel it's disgusting what we're doing on this because he's probably been our best player in the last 6 games, and we just keep rotating him like he needs to be. Pedro Porro hasn't played that badly, but again, I don't really understand what's going on at the minute. A lot of Tottenham fans would like to think it's positive news that Conte's back. I don't know whether he's been gone. The fact that he's been in Italy for so long, recovering, gives me vibes that it's only a matter of time before he goes to Italy. Because at first, I was quite confident it'd be Juventus. I'm hearing rumours today that with Inter Milan trying to restructure for next season, with Napoli winning it at Canton, taking the championship from them, so to speak, from a couple of years ago. They want Conte back to be back in the mix because, Conte won it, AC Milan then won it, and then Napoli winning it at Canton and Inter Milan, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, they're sort of like 16 points behind. So, at that, so, if Conte's been in Italy all this time, as soon as he gets back, there's a rumour around Italy. I believe that noise, that traction, come from anywhere. I think he's got a team out there. There's people that will be doing a lot of talking, and if it's coming from Inter Milan, they know that he's been in Italy that long. That he arrives in London with an important Champions League game coming up. Sorry, against AC Milan. Let's get Conte's the cogs in his brain going. But on top of that, let's give him a little bit of, him and the Spurs players a bit of a kick up the backside because realistically they don't want AC Milan to go through. So who knows? We only know the truth at the end of the season or in the coming weeks. But yeah, before I go into my preview on tomorrow's game, we're at that loggerheads again. I'll get that all or nothing energy again. Because when that DVD came out or shortly afterwards and whatnot, it was all doom and gloom. Not long after, because Mourinho at the time of it coming out wasn't playing great football. Harry Kane was having a good season, but it kind of felt that with that season in mind and us finishing seventh, that he might leave. In that season, we never with the Carling Cup disappointment. But it feels like we're coming around there again because, all of a sudden, we're pretty much out of every competition. Most optimistic Spurs fan, we're still in the Champions League, but I don't see that. I don't even see us being in the top four of those because I think Liverpool have got the momentum. And what Liverpool are doing now is doing what they did in that season where COVID struck, where they had all the injuries, there was no crowds, and they struggled, but then they just found a way of getting top four with Nat Phillips at centre half. So they've got a lot better personnel. They'll probably go out the Champions League, and all they've got to focus on is top four. So I generally think that they'll pip us to that. I did worry about them. I said it on my video last week that we had to beat Wolves because at least Liverpool wouldn't gain any momentum. But you know, not only did we lose to Wolves, they went to spank Man United 7-0. So if there's ever a result to galvanise your team, it's and you're a Liverpool player, it's a 7-0 spanking of Man United. So I think they'll get there. If we'll do very well to get there, but I don't think we're in any good form at all. So if I feel that where we're going to go, it's pretty obvious to me what's going to happen. If we don't get top four, I don't really care if Pochettino comes in or anyone like that. Harry Kane's not staying; he'd be stupid to. If he does, then he's an idiot. Um, Pochettino probably coming on a free. We'll lose Conte on a free, so Daniel Levy gets to not spend any money. Um, the small club mentality that we've got at Spurs will allow for everybody to think, we can start again because we've got Pochettino. People will start thinking, oh, why don't we, I'm seeing noises of people saying just sell Harry Kane now so we can invest the money. Like, do you think if Daniel Levy gets 100 mil for any player, but especially Harry Kane, he's going to be like, yes, I'm going to invest in the squad, mate? There'll be another addition to the amusement park that we call the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. So those are thinking that selling Harry Kane is going to sort the pitch out. They don't care about what the pitch is. If you haven't seen what goes on at Tottenham for the last 20 years, I don't understand why you think that's going to happen. You need to give your head a wobble if I'm honest. Like, this is why I don't get stressed because I can see what's happening. The people that get stressed seem to think that Daniel Levy every season is going to, this is the time, this is the time. I was hearing this is the time with Mourinho. Did he back him? No. It was the time Pochettino. Did he back him? No. It was the time with Nuno, wasn't it? Didn't back him. He didn't even want him really. He just brought Nuno in to shut us up, and that's pretty clear because he got rid of him very quickly and gave him an 18-month deal. But everyone thought that Daniel Levy thought about that one properly. And then we brought in Conte. They only bring in appointments and players and get deals wrapped up to cover cracks. They don't care about what goes on in the grass. The only thing they care about is getting Champions League football, or at least European, because European football, depending on your league position, generates revenue. If you've got European games, that means there's more games, and that means more bums on seats, which means more revenue. That's all they're bothered about. They're not bothered. And if they win a cup, it's by accident, literally. If they're happy to win it by accident, and then they'll come out. If Tottenham ever win a cup, they're like, this was the whole plan. But 20 years to win any kind of cup is madness. So yeah, I don't have anything really positive to say about Tottenham. I never really do. People call me negative, but if you can think of anything positive right now, or 3 or 4 years, apart from Harry Kane's goal scoring, Son's goal scoring last season, and a go-karting course, then feel free to comment because I don't see anything. But that's such is life, It's one of those like we'll choose to support Tottenham. I'll just tell you that if you support Tottenham, start to have a bit of realism about yourself. To start understanding, put things together like a puzzle and understand what's going on. Because, like I said on previous videos, if you're the same age as me or older and you have hope with this stewardship and the personnel that we have to our disposal at the minute, we've got a manager that doesn't want to leave and staying in Italy is flirting with a job elsewhere. There's nothing positive, is there? We've got a manager we know isn't going to be there, but he's still managing us. We've got players that are playing with us that are still playing with us. Like Harry Kane ain't going to be there, but then you've also got players like Lucas Moura, Davinson Sanchez, Tanganga. These are guys that we know ain't going to be there next year, but they're still playing. Like, so forget Harry Kane. I understand that Harry Kane might not be there next year because he's our best player. But we've got players that literally we've said you can go if you want, but then the window shuts and they're like, yeah, play. Big clubs, Man United and all these guys, they Ronaldo's. You ain't playing. So if you ain't playing, you're surplus to requirements. You ain't playing. You might be our highest earning player, but you ain't playing, mate. The world's biggest football superstar, you are not playing. People criticised him, people praised him. You know, the only blemish I can think of is the defeat at the weekend, but they got a good, you know, they've got a cup out of it. They're building something season. They'll be like, oh, they forgot Ronaldo even came back. What do? We still got Davinson Sanchez. Like Pochettino's going to come back and there's what 6. Oh, yeah, you're right, mate. How's it going? Been a while, innit? You know what I mean? You're going to have Davinson Sanchez, Lucas Moura, Tanganga was in the U system, Ollie Skip was in the U system, um, Harry Kane, obviously, Son, um, Ben Davis. Do you know what I mean? These are players that he was using 4 years ago, and they're still here. These are players that he said were part of a rebuild that they need to be disposed of, but they're still here. You know, there's some players that, you know, like, I'll credit Ben Davis. I'll give him his credit where he's due. He's given us a 7 out of 10 pretty much every week. He's been a steady Eddie, so I'll give him his due. You know what I mean? But we just got too much dross, too much, and you think Harry Kane is, you know, playing up front and looking behind him and going, yeah, I'll be here next year. You'd be crazy. Like, I love an analogy. So it's like, imagine if you worked in an office and you know you're great at your job. You're great at your job. Indeed is sending you message after message saying, hi, mate, would you be interested in this job, this job, this job? And these are all jobs that are being paid more money. You get more scope, more exposure. Your life will be made easier because you'll be working with a better team. Would you look behind you in the office and go, nah, I'm going to stay here? If you do, then fair play to you, but I wouldn't. I'll just be turning around and going, right, when I get indoors, I'm sending out well, not even sending out my CVs. I'm ringing them up saying, can you interview me tomorrow? So, you know, obviously in employment, you don't get transfer windows, but there's a window of opportunity there for Harry Kane, and he'd be an idiot not to go this time, considering Daniel Levy didn't let him go last time, and there was times where he was absolutely the best striker in Europe, and you know Real Madrid were flirting with him, Bayern Munich, you know Man United, Man City, all the big clubs in Europe you can think of have flirted with Harry Kane at some point. You're still staying with a team like this. It's just go, mate. So that's my viewpoint in a nutshell on what's going to happen. What's going to happen over the course, and that's it. You know, the future after that, I'd go as far as saying I'm not even going to bother commenting because it's not going to be great. The new manager's not going to be backed, and in the Conference Cup positions, he might even do that this year. Who knows? But yeah. So I'll move on to the game tomorrow. A lot of people would see it as an important game. I don't. It's a Champions League game. Nice occasion. For me, regardless of whether we go through or not, it doesn't do us any favours because if we go out, um, there's uproar. You know, there's more like Levy outs, this. You know, the season's already over for me, but then that just puts a nail in the coffin. You know what I mean? Because you're definitely out of all cups. But so you just got to get a negative vibe. If it gets to the point where we qualify and go through, I can't think of a team that are in the Champions League that's left right now that will go through that wouldn't give us a pasting. You know, if we got lucky and drew maybe a Benfica that look like they're going to go through, or Benfica, Inter Milan, maybe into a Porto, one of those games, cool. But again, you're only delaying the process because you're going to get through to a quarter final, play one of them two, and even if you go through, at some point, you're going to play a Napoli. You're going to play a Bayern Munich or PSG, whoever goes through that. You're going to play the Kings of Europe in Real Madrid. You know, you could end up playing Man City. Do you know what I mean? You could end up playing Man City in there. Um, you know, Chelsea, I know they're bad, but you know, if you get through that, they might have turned a corner by then and they knock you out. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, you'd have to be really lucky. Like you'd have to, I don't know, somehow get into Milan in the next round and knock them out with the Conte factor, and then somehow Benfica have got through, and then you play them. But then that doesn't get you to the final. You know, the only time I might think, all right, it's a one-off would be in a final, but we're not going to get there. So you might as well just say, well, come out now and concentrate on what is achievable, which I challenging for the top four, which is stupid, but that seems to be our trophy at the minute. So we go to tomorrow's game. Um, I don't know. I've got to say something because I'm being recorded right now, but I don't even know what to say. I feel like I'm talking to my mate, I reckon, on tomorrow. Because I honestly don't know. But like I said, I've kind of shot myself in the foot, so I've got to say something now, haven't I? Only hope we've got is if AC Milan are asleep and we're awake. The only hope we've got is if we turn up like we've turned up sometimes. You know, if the Tottenham against Man City turns up, cool. The Tottenham against West Ham, cool. But then in recent weeks, it could be the Tottenham that played Sheffield United or Leicester or Arsenal. You know, I don't know how many ors you want. You know what I mean? Um, if I want to go to my preferred lineup, that might be something to give me to talk about. I'd rather see the lineup that was out against Chelsea. I've been asking for that for the last 2 weeks. The recruitment team, not recruitment team, sorry, the coaching staff haven't abided to that, and we've come unstuck against Sheffield United and Wolves. I think the front three needs to be Richarlison, Kulusevski, and Kane, just because Richarlison isn't really pulling up trees, but he'll work it a bit harder. You know, this is a game we're going to have to dig in because AC Milan are a decent outfit. Um, Son's just disillusioned. I don't know what's going on. I think a game like this is crying for Son to come on after 60 minutes, depending on how we're getting on. Kuzelewski isn't doing great, but he's slowly getting there bit by bit for me. You do see a few glimpses of what he can do, and then Kane is just a given, isn't he? Especially in being the club captain at the minute. Um, Fraser Forster again, another given. The back three, which is the back three I want to see in every game from now on, is Dyer, Romero, and Longley, just for the sheer fact they're our best three centre halves. So don't start taking out Dyer and resting people and putting Longley there because I think Dyer is the only defender we have that can play in that sweeper role, and he's not the best, but there's no one else that can do it. I don't think Longley is accustomed to that. He's better off on the left hand side. Ramiro's too. I think he needs to be tackling people, not sweeping up. Do you know what I mean? He's needs to be on either side of those centre half positions. Fullbacks: Ben Davis on the left, um, Romero, sorry, Emerson Royal on the right. I think again they're two steady eddies going forward. They're okay. You know, but Emerson Royal's found a new way of getting forward by coming centrally. Ben Davis, you know what you're gonna get. You know, if you know he's gonna know when to go forward, you can depend on him coming backwards. He's not gonna set the world alight. He's not gonna be a Roberto Carlos, but he'll give his all. You know, he ain't shying out of a challenge, and I'm not saying Ben Davis is gonna take us to the next level, but I'll give him a lot of respect because he's another one of those players that, like Emerson Royal, but he's always a scapegoat. Whenever we need to make changes, he's always like, we still got Ben Davis, but in terms of a squad, you do need a Ben Davis. You know what I mean? Somebody that you can depend on to cover a numerous couple of positions, and someone who's gonna who gives a toss. We've got him, Højbjerg and Skip, just because I like Papasar, but there's no point having two defensive midfielders in there on the swivel. Um, and I think he's just got a bit more about him when it comes to passing. And then the front three, like I haven't looked at the AC Milan lineup yet, but we have to be very careful there because Rafa Leao proved in the last game he can be a massive threat to our defence. So I think Emerson Royal needs to play just because he's a bit better defensively wise. And Emerson Royal is one of those that at the minute, even though it's a bit mad that it's happening, he's a bit of a cult hero. So him making tackles, him doing, he's a crazy guy. He just does mad things. And I'll be honest with you, in the last 4 weeks, he's got me going just because, again, just like Ben Davis, they're not going to set the world alight, but they care. They've got endeavour. They've been down in the dumps where everybody's blaming them for results. So they're picking themselves up. So I'd like to see them boys there. Pedro Porro, good going forward, but I think Rafa Leao have him on toast. So I think Pedro Porro is another one. If we're chasing the game, or it's like a 1-0 Spurs and Emerson Royal looks shattered, bring him on with a bit of energy and get Rafael Leao going the other way. Um, but yeah, we'll um, I don't even know what to do with predictions. Like, if I'm being completely honest, I get the feeling that we're gonna go through, but it's like, it'll just paper over the cracks. It'll just get to the point where we'll win. Everyone will talk about we've got chances in the Champions League. Everyone will be excited about the draw, and Daniel Levy will get away with his mockeries for the next few weeks because about is the quarter final draw, and then somehow we'll get an easy draw, and everyone's like, "Oh, you never know." I do know we ain't going to win the Champions League, and if I'm honest, we to get Champions League football next year and keep Harry Kane. It's the only way you keep Harry Kane is winning the Champions League, and we're not going to do it. But I'm not saying I'm trying to be positive, but I think Wednesday night at the lane, crowd pumped. As long as they get the lineup right. For me, I'm not a world class coach, but I know my football. Put that lineup out and do exactly what we did against Chelsea, against West Ham. Have that unit, have that lineup, everybody caring, because that's a lineup where everybody cares. Everybody's caring, willing to put the hard work in, and that's how we beat Chelsea. I feel that if we played Chelsea and we had maybe a Son and a Pedro Porro, luxury players, I don't think they would have done the dirty graft. And I think, the João Felixes and the Reece Jameses of this world would have got in on our defence with the luxury players in. So I think at the minute, we need to dig in, get results. So, start with a dig-in lineup. Please, Conte, get it right. But yeah, signing out, I've got a show that I'm going to be on called The Hotspur Hood. So shout out Tommy and the Hotspur Hood lads. If you're watching this now, you're probably watching it a day later. So, go and sign up to that. Things to look forward to. We'll look forward to my before, after, and middle, not in that order, when we play tomorrow. So look out for that, whether you want to catch joke or see some serious madness. And yeah, look out for me on Friday as well. I'm on with my regulars. I've got, shout out Alan Clark, Ryan Madden, and Mark, the usual boys on a Friday. It's a channel time added on. So, go and have a look at that. We've got a few videos on there. Like, comment, subscribe on all of these channels that I've mentioned. I've got a lot of love and a lot of time for them. And at some point, when I get a bit more time in my life, I will get them on my channel and you'll see what they're all about. So, yeah, all the best. Have a blessed Tuesday. See you guys tomorrow. Love, one up top.